You know, this morning I started doing morning pages again, which is 3 pages, first thing in the morning. I think Julia Cameron is the author that does it. I haven't done them in a while. There are so many self-care, mental health, physical health, spiritual health practices that you can do that sometimes it can be kind of overwhelming. But I've been watching myself and noticing running up into resistance. You know what I mean? You know that thing? I've often had this cycle where I'm doing my work, I'm doing my thing, I'm growing, I'm working on potentiating, things feel like they're happening in life. I hit a streak of inspiration, I get really energized about it, and I start really driving all this new energy towards something, right? So I take a curve out of my norm and start pursuing something, usually like in tandem with what I'm already doing. During that time, I get a ton of things done, I get a lot of frameworks written out, and I develop a lot of progress along the path. But to create something new, there has to be an allowance of an imbalance to occur within your patterns and rituals and the way you do life. If the new departure that you are now venturing on has a long timeline and you've now taken a big turnout from how you normally do your day to day, I have found that the imbalance starts to grow too far. All the practices that led me to who I am now, to build to have this impulse to do something new, I don't give them as much care and practice and intensity or depth as they normally have had. And in doing so, part of me starts to stagnate and feel off, and it's problematic. And so I hit this point where, I don't know, my energy out and my return on investment starts to go down, like diminishing returns for sure. My focus starts to drop, and my spirit is just like something is missing. Something is not up. You're not upkeeping something. And it kind of feels like if you have time, energy, and attention, that's what you have to pour on the plants in the garden of your life. Sometimes you're watering weeds. Sometimes you're totally nourishing the garden as you should. But then you walk away like you do when you have to do something new and create a new plot of land or whatever you're doing within your own spiritual garden. And those initial, like, foundational bedrock plants are like calling out and they're in distress. And that, I think, is like burnout, what people call crashing out these days. And it's, for me, during this time around, I'm thinking about what are the actions that I can take to give care back to those spaces while still continuing to develop the path that I'm building for a more robust, open, stable future. Like, I know what I've been putting new work into is valuable and will be something that will become a new bedrock, but it is going to require more time and seasons worth of love and care and time and energy and focus put on it. So first there's like an introspection period where I have to stop my patterns. I'm like, oh man, I'm getting too far off into the weeds now. Like, I'm struggling and I need to take stock of where I'm at. And then I need to notice what aspects are really calling. Drumming is one of my deepest sense of like expression and art that I had ever as a kid. And I moved away from it as some karmic things happened in my life, and I had to focus time, energy, and focus on the mind and the body and healing and strengthening and potentiating. But there's this part of me that's like, why aren't you loving me? Why aren't you growing me? Why aren't you paying attention? Why aren't you training from me in the same way you're training your body? What's happening? So I made this conscious decision several years ago to really be dedicating time, energy, and focus towards drumming more regularly, and taking programs and becoming part of cohorts and doing some work in that realm in a deeper way. And then I started doing something new, and then I started building my website, and I couldn't dedicate the exact same amount of time, and then I started dedicating a little bit less time. And then there were times where I didn't submit the assignment, and then 2 weeks have gone by, and now 3 weeks have gone by, and there's a part of me that starts to foment internally. It feels like it's because there's a part of your spirit that came onto this planet, and you made a pact with it. You made a pact that you're going to dedicate the time and the energy of your mortal coil to growing this thing that it wants to share with the world. Ooh, makes me want to cry. But for one reason or another, you're choosing to neglect and not care for that aspect of your personhood. Big breaths. for me, I can dial that back and tie it into the feeling of not having a guide to show me the things that I needed to become who I am now as a younger person. I think it's a common theme. I think it's in varying degrees for lots of people. And so in times of big change or high stress or both that usually come together, you find yourself repeating ways of being that were modeled to you as you grew up. So I can recognize there's a part of my spirit that is sensing neglect, and there's an active part of me that is choosing to sabotage that space. But the disharmony occurs when you realize the part of you that's trying to get there is trying to create space so that other aspect can grow. But it becomes a time on task and repeatable habits and actions that determine and steer that future route. And there's a whole chorus of people and voices internally that desire and demand your attention. So I was journaling this morning, back to the whole thread, and I started to like Dumbledore pensieve out my thoughts, which is what journaling is the best for, to re-remember this dovetailing concept. It's like links in an armor. It's like overlapping chains, or dovetail. So the dovetail is like, you have your old life, you have this way of that you built it, and then you dovetail the other side of your new life onto that thing. If the feathers are too far apart, if the wings are too far apart, it doesn't hold shape. Or chainmail, if it's like chainmail, and the links are too far apart, it doesn't block the spear. That's not the best one. You know, and the finding harmony part can be hard. The aspect of me that wants to be the performer and just playing and expressing, that felt neglected, shut down, and I put it off on the shelf for decades. When he isn't at least having some tribute paid, it manifests in particular ways. So as I've been putting all this work into my frameworks for my coaching and all the things that I've been like doing and practicing and studying and teaching since like my late teens through now, when I'm putting all that work there in no time or very little time, or just like phoning it in and not really progressing that aspect of my life, there's a part of my spirit that goes, I don't care. I don't care what you're building. It's not important. Whew. And it sort of creates a drain on your life for sure. And I start doing habits that then pick apart the progress in the other areas of my life that I've built. Not just the innate parts that feel like they are, but the parts that you've built, like the body, like the simplest ones that are like my own marketing for my business oftentimes is my body and being fit and athletic and always pursuing that potentiation of degrees. Like it's part of the game now. It's part of the play. It's part of the fun. It's part of the expression of being and training. But as I've been putting all this energy into building the frameworks and on my desk more and not doing these parts where I'm performing or building towards performing, very insidious old childhood habits creep back in. It's awful. And you notice them and you're like, it's okay. I can do a little, it's all right, I can do a little bit. You know, I deserve this, whatever little things. For me, it's just like little snacks and quantities and like no longer paying attention to my like known foundational rules and baselines in particular ways, getting distracted really easy, not having space between my meals, just like going up and getting more energy is what my mind is trying to solve for in those moments. But the issue is you're never going to hit it because the goal is far enough out that you can't solve for this energy lack. There just needs to be infusions of other aspects of your life that you've built thus far to maintain energy and harmony in this moment, even if it's a moment of imbalance and shift between two ways of being and operating. And it is hard to notice that in real time. It is, or unless it's painful enough. When it's painful enough, part of you has to figure it out or burn out and like get hurt and then really have to learn or start over and restart the course again. For me, this time around feels like, okay, I can catch this, I can watch it, and I can document it. And you can decide to make new structures and plan, and you should. But when you've had the moment to catch it, you've written it down, you've thought about it, you've slept on it, then what? I think I have found the answer is within micro yeses, little wins that you can stack quick. So getting some efficient drum coordination pattern stuff done this morning before I started doing anything, getting that done so that I have laid a foundation in the back of my mind. Yeah, this happened first. I gave priority to this thing first. Ooh, what the fuck? That gets me right in the heart. Because although something might not be your primary way of earning or expressing or engaging with life right now, it might be primary to your spirit. It might be primary to that which enlivens and gives life to all of the other aspects. I got out into nature. I didn't try to force out a super hard grinder gym workout to counteract the surplus calories I've had over the last couple weeks, because this time around there's nothing to punish or change. That's not necessary. I'm not trying to beat out an old habit. I'm trying to integrate and collaborate aspects of myself as I evolve up into something new. I'd actually say I probably slowed down a lot more, honestly, because my spirit has just felt so tired and just spiritual depression and tiredness because I was not dedicating the right time, energy, and focus, action, time on task to parts of me that, regardless of anything else, need to be loved. If they are not given a chance, then all of the fighting and all of the building of the person I have become up until this point doesn't feel incongruous with where I have envisioned and kept myself alive thus far to get to. That space no longer feels like I'm working on that path. So part of my spirit goes, I'm out, unless you're doing this with me. So part of this is a demarcation of something different. If you're at a time in your life where there is something that needs to change, it needs to shift, and it's going to shift in a big way, pay tribute to it first. Create space, create structure, and then do something to delineate difference. So I'm going on a long nature walk. I often go on long nature walks, but I haven't in a while because I have been focused on this new thing that I'm building, and it required me to derange my patterns far enough to remember that if I'm not prioritizing that which gives my spirit fulfillment, purpose, and joy beyond just that which I have learned and developed skills and practices in, life loses its color, its meaning, and its worth, and that will slowly just lower your health points until the point that you are useless and ineffective in your own life, in creating the art, in sharing your love, your expertise, because you're not doing it for yourself. Ooh, yeah. I don't know. These are just my thoughts. I felt that I needed to speak them aloud so that I could rehear them and re-internalize and interpret them. Because this is not the first time that I have done this cycle. This is times and times and times abounding. But this is a time that I'm willing to share it, walking the walk, speaking your truth. Sometimes you just have to hit the low part of your valley to find a new through line, or to remember an old through line to pull you back to where you need to be. If any of this lands for you, I hope you make it. I hope you can take action on that which is most meaningful for you in a way that is harmonious and in alignment with current aspects of your life. I was gonna say so that you avoid suffering. I don't think that's the point or the path, but so that you can choose a better route this time. I still have high intentions of aspirations that society and hometown and places where you grew up and spaces where you felt small would probably be like, don't be doing that. I have high intentions for them to succeed still. I think with creativity, consistency, time on task, that just simply over time with enough aligned intent that you can make pretty wonderful wonderful things happen. And you may be shown that there are illusions of what you think you need that aren't actually the things you want. And that the comfortable ego mind can play some real mischievous ways of trying to show you that something is okay enough. That it is okay enough to be where you are, even though that little part of you is smothering and you're wondering why you can't drop the weight or leave the relationship, join the relationship, start a relationship, put yourself out into the stream where you can be recognized and seen for the value that is innate to you and that which you have also built. I have big intentions for those aspects of my life, and I want that success for you the same way I want it for me. I love you, and I wish you the best.